Gotcha. Just like a visual cue. Like this.
That'd be great.
What are you, 6 years old?
Yeah. I do nothing but play with 6-year-olds. My boys. Actual play.
Hi, I'm Jen, and Sean's not a bad man.
Me llamo Juan.
And this is DBAs at Midnight.
The teaching.
Ranting.
Coughing.
Blogging.
Talking head.
Techie,
so you can work show. Wow.
I'm going to count the ding as our screw up, but it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which is what she said.
Stop saying that to me. Because I never get tired of hearing that.
So, today is November 18th, 2011.
Yes, it is.
You know what
for
that
just a little
means.
while longer.
It's time for the show.
Tomorrow's the 19th. Reminds me real quick. Tomorrow.
Yeah, go for it.
First thing in the morning, we have to go get the rest of our stuff out of the house.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we're selling our old house finally.
We're doing that. Which is not all that interesting for a
making a
workshop.
killing.
That's not us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure I have stuff somewhere
go
in
ahead.
here. I don't know. Let's see. Garfunkel Notes have a brand new video. I have recently started following Lifehacker on Twitter. They've got some interesting stuff. Get your meetings to start on time by rewarding the early birds and giving a menial task to the last one to arrive. I actually like that. I'm going to use that one. Apparently there's something called Skyrims, which sounds really nasty to me. But everybody's doing it.
Hey,
brother's really into
if
that.
that's if there is something like that, then you can have a Skyrim job.
I believe it was Buck Woody who tweeted.
We should get our brother a Skyrim job.
So the DBA in Space, I'm ignoring you. It's the DBA in Space contest by Redgate is wrapping up this week-ish. Well, I think the deadline was this week. And one of the things that you have to do once you complete all the questions is you fill out your information and you sort of you submit what your first tweet from space would be. And your people are going to compete.
I'm in space.
Are going to compete and get voted in and all that, right? So I think
DBA to commander.
Let me finish the sentence. You're worse than the 6-year-old. So I believe somebody said, well, it's very difficult to decide what my first tweet from space would be. And Buck Woody said, no, it's not really. I think mine would be something like, I checked and I was disallowed from being the first member of the 25,000 mile club. High club. I screwed it up a little bit, but it was very, very clever. I'm moving right along.
I'm in your heliosphere, tweeting your tweets.
That's pretty good, actually. We'll save that for later.
How does that really tie in?
Because it's a musical break! Random dancing!
You're at Soldier House, so
I see.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
a callback.
I was playing it very low, but...
You know what they say, better never than late.
No, I actually kind of like it. Oh gosh, there's so much having to do with this one thing, but I don't want to get into it yet.
I could have played it over her to make it more timely.
I've got something I can talk about.
You talk about something, because I'm having to skip over a bunch of stuff.
We had this conversation at dinner tonight.
Did we? Well, you guys did.
And it's quite interesting. You remember, it was 3 or 4 years ago now, that I went to Santran to do the big Oracle video.
Right.
And the funny thing is we were and I told you this story before, but it's been a long time. But we were on an actual TV studio, right?
Yeah.
That's what it wasn't a TV station or anything, but it was an actual studio. That's what the company did. People would come in from out of town and book studio time, right? Like booking time
Studio
at in a recording studio or something, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is they actually had stars that came in and out of there. I mean, they would, if a star was in town and somebody wanted to interview them or something, they would book the thing. So they actually had big movie stars and whatnot coming in there doing the thing. So their staff was really nifty, and in between takes, if I would just mention that my tea was too warm, they would rush somebody over there to refresh my tea. Or if I said it's a little warm in there, they would rush somebody in there to cool us off and stuff like that.
Oh, man, I would love to be rich enough to be handled in that way.
I know, right? And, and they would say, like, cut, and we'd be like, what? And they'd be like, Sean's got a glare on his nose, and they'd run around, touch me up, and then do somebody else. Somebody else would run out there and make sure our drinks were okay and do the thing, and then everybody would run off, and they would say, okay.
So a girl would run out and touch you up?
Yes, she would.
On camera?
Yeah. She wasn't attractive.
Yeah, sure.
In the least.
Sure she wasn't.
Well.
All makeup girls are hot.
So anyway, the point I'm making.
Too late.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead.
Okay. The point I'm making is that I could so get used to that.
I know.
And I don't think I've ever said this out loud to you before. Exactly, Joshua.
Fluffers.
For like 2 or 3 months after that, I thought of so many different ways to try to make that my job. How could I make talking on film and having people do stuff
I gotta tell you,
job?
Let's make a whole bunch of money and then hire personal assistants because they will do that.
But it's different. A personal assistant goes to the bank for you,
no,
stuff like that.
I want a personal assistant.
But even
here, let me help you.
But even just sitting there, just mentioning something, I'd just be like, "Oh man, isn't it warm in here or something?" Yeah. The talent is warm. Get somebody out there to cool them off, and like the director's in another sound booth or something, right? And it was like, wow. God,
then they send out a pool boy to rub your belly down with ice.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's like it was so cool. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, when I was with InfoWorld, this was when 11G first came out. They had a bunch of compression stuff and a bunch of new indexing stuff and whatnot that they were testing, and Oracle was making a bunch of claims about them. So they wanted third-party confirmation because they can't very well produce their own numbers, right? So they contracted me through InfoWorld to do the benchmarks on their new features, and I did just a crap load of benchmarks on their new features, and then they wanted to make these videos that went along with them. So I sat there on a TV set with me and my editor from InfoWorld and the manager of the engine team at Oracle, and we sat there and discussed these new features, and it was fun. But man, the funnest part was just being handled like that. That was just that. I could so get used to that. I see why people get like uppity.
Yeah.
Because after you do that for like 10 years, you expect people to just jump on you.
Why aren't people attending to my needs?
Yeah.
Well, even something as simple as I haven't had it to that degree, but I've had it in 2 instances. The MVP summit, where you go, you stay in a room, you get up, you are bused to where you need to be, you're fed, you're directed to a place, you're directed back, there's drinks constantly, there's breaks, there's friends. Yes, exactly, go ahead. This is the life. And the other one was on the cruise ship, where I had to deal with the kids, but still, we had a room with room service that would bring me cookies and milk in bed, and yeah, I want to be rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't play too much of that. They're going to take our URL offline.
Yeah. I got a couple of things. One is a tweet by 81st person, 81 ST person, who said, just had to change the DNS search order on 2,000 servers. Took 5 minutes. Thank you, PowerShell.
Damn right.
I thought you'd like that.
By the way, if I can find it, I'll go find a link to that Oracle video because it's pretty cool.
And this I really like. This is from the Twitter account Letters of Note. This day in 1974, a disgruntled fan sent a letter of complaint to the Cleveland Browns. Their reply is a thing of beauty. And it was such a thing of beauty that I had to bring it on the show.
Nice.
So let's see if I can shortcut this just a little bit. American football fan Dale Cox sent a letter to his favorite club. He was disturbed by a trend, blah, 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 blah. And here's the transcript, the actual scanned letters in the transcript. So, from Mr. Dale Cox. Gentlemen, I'm one of your season ticket holders who attends or tries to attend every game. It appears that one of the pastimes of several fans has become the sailing of paper airplanes, generally made out of the game program. As you know, there is the risk of serious eye injury and perhaps ear injury. Does anyone want to stop and say something right now? Paper airplanes, fucking ear injury. What? Are you a child?
Yeah, but the eye injury, he's right.
Pussy. As a result of such
You
airplanes,
could throw an airplane in your eye, you could be blinded for life.
I am sure that this has been called to your attention and that several of your ushers and policemen have witnessed the same. Please be advised that since you are in a position to control or terminate such action on the part of fans, I will hold you responsible for any injury sustained by any person in my party attending one of your sporting events. It is hoped that this disrespectful and possibly dangerous activity will be terminated. Very truly yours, Rotzel and Anders, by Dale O. Cox. The response. From the Cleveland Stadium
Dear douchebag.
Corporation General Counsel.
Oh my.
Dear,
Well, yeah, when you
3
start
lines.
saying we're going to hold you responsible.
Dear Mr. Cox, attached is a letter that we received on November 19, 1974. I feel that you should be aware that some asshole is signing your name to stupid letters. Very truly yours.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't. He's lucky he spelled it C-O-X.
Yes. That just made me so happy. All right. You talk a little while now.
I've only got a huge rant.
Well,
It's
you've
more
got a
huge.
huge...
It's more huge in magnitude.
Well, we'll talk a little bit because I got a big subject and you got a big subject. We'll warm you guys up just a little bit more, get you kind of loosened up in fighting shape, right? It's been kind of an interesting week at work, and I just want to talk about the concept of getting your hopes up at work. So
Yeah, sure.
every shop has its little quirks, right? And I have this really bad habit of starting a new job and getting in there and you know, I get in and talk to people, I find out what the problems are, and I say, okay, you know, we can do this and this and this and this, and that's going to, you know, solve 80% of your problems, and it's going to make life better and work faster, and we're going to save money and the thing and the thing. And I get really excited, and everybody gets really excited, and then it goes nowhere, usually through, you know, inertia and, you know, damping down of the spirit through, you know, basically just, it is corporate inertia.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so hard you can push against the machine, right? And I just can't cure myself of that stupid optimism. Because I'm an IT nerd, and IT nerds like to solve problems. And and I have solved
I
some,
wouldn't know, but
I
go
have
ahead.
solved some problems over the years. I have made some differences. So the place I'm at now, I had this fantastic talk with one of the people in a position to make differences today. And I'm just saying, how do you deal with that? With the idea that maybe this time we'll really move in a good direction. There have got to be some businesses out there that actually head in good directions and improve their processes.
In all honesty, I'm so jaded
I know you are.
and so cynical now.
I know you are.
I can tell you exactly how I deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I really hope you mean that,
Absolutely.
but I've seen those promises 100 times, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I mean it. Well, it's easy to sit at the desk and say you mean it, but when it comes time to writing the check, or, better yet, backing my play when somebody comes to you to complain about something I'm doing that we agreed on, it's another thing altogether. Because it really is. Writing the check is one thing, but when some whiny little bitch dev comes in and complains that they have to have SA because of this or that, and then you cave because you're too stupid to know the difference.
That's been the interesting thing.
So
far, I've been putting things in play, and I don't want to get too specific because, it's my job and all that kind of thing, but I've been putting things into play, that need to be done. Let's pretend for the moment that we've got something like you said, the essay thing, right? Well, this guy needs essay. Well, you said no more changes for the next month, so no. And I'm actually backed on certain things like that, which is fairly unusual. Usually, they say, make sure that nothing else goes through. And then I make sure nothing else goes through.
Except these things that we tell you to
except
put
for
through.
these 10 exceptions that there's no reason for them to be exceptions.
We're doing that now. They said we're not making any changes to the environment at all because we have to get it stable, we have to this, we have to that, right? Oh, there's a downtime this weekend to push in some hot fixes. What part of stable? Well, these have to go in. They all have to go in.
Yeah.
But you know what have to go in means? That some of the users really, really want the functionality.
Yep.
That's what have to go in means.
And I'll tell you another reason. Did you want to say that?
No, go ahead.
The other reason that I'm thinking about this more and more, and this has been something I've been talking about it on the show even for a matter of months, about getting into a place with good processes. Is there any company in the world that does it right? I just finished reading the Steve Jobs bio. Can we see this at all? That's okay. You know what Steve Jobs looked like, and this is his bio. It's the Walter Isaacson biography. Really quite good. And bearing in mind even that the biographer seems to really like Steve, so it tells a lot of negative about him, but you come out of it with the feeling that you like the guy and all that, so I guess which you should do when you come out of a book. But one of the big things it talks about is in building the company and how Steve was really, really dedicated to having only A players, just across the board, and having really thorough integration of teams. There isn't a silo where the engineers deal with the design and then they pass it off and then they pass it off. He wants everybody, just all these different things to really make a cohesive company and make a great company. And I'm like, wow, that at least sounds like one company in the world who, probably not perfect, probably has a lot of problems, but they've at least thought about it and attempted to do something in a way that makes sense, as opposed to, well, everyone else is doing it this way.
No. That's a perfect segue into something that I've been meaning to talk about for a couple weeks.
Excellent, because I'm done.
A guy at work was telling me about a place that he interviewed at several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He talked to the hiring manager who was going to be over his group. And the guy was not only siloed, he bragged about it and was proud that his group didn't have contact with anybody else in the entire company. No.
It's good to be the king.
No.
Of this tiny little pond.
If you're in a vacuum, it makes good sense. His reasoning is because now we don't have to be bothered or distracted or anything by anything anybody else is doing. Everybody coming by, everybody asking questions, everybody doing the thing, having to do the thing is a huge distraction. I want my coders coding, and that's all they should be doing is coding, and leave us alone.
I'm sorry, aren't you coding for the business?
Yeah, well, don't get me started, right? So like I said, in a vacuum, it makes sense. And that's a very good idea. You go, oh yeah, that's cool, right? Good idea, because we waste so much time on little pieces of bullshit, right?
Sure.
But the problem is, of course, we all know that that's not workable, right? It doesn't take long at all to realize that it just doesn't make any sense. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the exact kind of reasoning that we have to put up with from people suggesting things to VPs or other directors, right? That they come up with these ideas and sell management on it, and they go, wow, that's a fabulous idea. That's a good... And then they go off and say, make it so. And then you're sitting there going, whoa, that's the most asinine thing you could have done. It sounds good in a vacuum, but when you think about actually trying to implement it, it's fucking bullshit.
Well, is the problem
And they
there
never listen to that. They
is
always,
the problem there that the management doesn't actually get anyone else's opinion but the one guy who's selling them on it?
That's the problem in almost every company
Because
I've
for
been
a
in.
lot of managers, you can just sell them anything if you have a pretty enough PowerPoint deck.
Yeah. Well, that's my point. Is
I'm
most
agreeing
of
with you.
most of the time, yeah, they don't check with anybody else. They take one guy's opinion. Like at my last company, right? No matter how much we fought, no matter how many meetings we had, no matter how anything, the director was in California.
Mm.
And the asshole that we were going up against had an office right beside his and talked to him anytime he wanted to. We had to schedule meetings with him every 3 weeks. No matter how much sense we made, no matter how many numbers we threw at him, no matter how much we proved ourselves,
He just heard more of the other.
shit for brains here had his ear more, and he's the one that he's going to listen to. Forget the fact that you've got a sand guy teaching you SQL. And it's that way everywhere, right? I mean, you have to have somebody's ear. And, I mean, look at it this way. You know how persuasive I can be.
Yeah.
Not only can I be persuasive, and I mean that in a good way,
Yeah.
but I can also be extremely persistent. And even with, I'll say, my skills, right, of persuasion and persistence, it's taken me 2 years in my current company to make certain changes, to get people to start listening and to turn that. I'm finally hearing people say stuff like, you know, we can't do that because it's not a good database practice. We can't do that because it's not. And I'm like, wow.
Now that's a good segue.
So, if I'm in the room with these people several times a week, jumping up on the tables, grabbing them by the lapel and saying, you can't do this, and throwing example after example after example at them, and it still takes 2 years, if you're not in the room with them, you'll never get what you need.
So, absolutely. So, I have I'll go ahead and say an unofficial award because I didn't bother thinking up a fancy title for it. But I'm just going to give a general props, kudos, good dog kind of thing to one of my .NET guys, if you can believe it. There are a certain set of things that I've been pushing really, really hard at the current gig. We need to this, we need to this, we need to this. We need to push back on certain kinds of requests because they don't make sense, because they go against the rules for what we're doing right now, because this, whereas previously it would just gone through without question, right? So I get an email that's one such request, right? We need, let's just go with something silly. We need, 30,000 cases of water for the accounting department. We need you to pick it up and carry it over there right now. It wasn't anything like that, but we'll just go with it because I'm keeping things anonymous, right? Mm-hmm. And my .NET guy, to whom they were requesting this, was like, so what's the business requirements? Because we weren't supposed to be moving any large quantities of water at this particular point in time. And I'm like, yes, for business requirements. I love you. So, major props to you, .NET guy that doesn't watch my show. Thank you for listening. I think it's, with me, it's a proximity thing. He sits closest to me. He hears me talk about it all the time.
No, I've got something along the same lines.
I've never had anyone actually listen to me before.
I know, right? No, this isn't.
What's that like?
Now, this isn't on the lines of somebody listening to me, because by far, I mean, even like, this is like the furthest thing away. But, so, I had a meeting today, a single meeting that went all day. Now, it was with our big vendor.
I got online and told everybody to pity you.
Yeah. It was with our big vendor. And the whole point was that we were getting everybody in the room with some of their big guys, and they were going to explain to us how the app works, because it's such a huge app. So many different pieces, so many different departments to it, that our guys who have been working there with it for years have only been able to piece together some of the things, how they work, right? Mm-hmm. So, finally, we get somebody in the room to actually sit down and explain some of the stuff to us. Yeah, I know you do.
We always pity Sean, they say. Thank you, MNDBA.
So, one of the questions was, and this is a very good question. He said, okay, so we're talking about their use of service broker versus MSMQ, right? And he said, so we noticed that some of the modules use service broker and some of them use MSMQ. Now, how do y'all decide which one uses which, right? Because we've had problems with both of them, and it seems like the one that's chosen isn't the one that's appropriate for the one that for the module you're using it for. But he said, how does your architect decide which one to use for which one? He goes, yeah. And he says, well, there's not really an architect. Each group decides on their own what technologies they want to use. And I'm like, wow. So,
wow. MySQL.
Yeah, I know, right? So now you're just asking for hodgepodge, right? Somebody could pull something completely obscure out of the air and say, we need to use this, right?
Will.
Yes, will. So, and me, they already don't like me, right? But
someone tweet that.
Well, this is the guy I chewed out last time he was here, and he hasn't forgotten me. But I told him, I said, okay, so doesn't it make sense to have like an overall architect of these things, right? I said, because, and he goes, well,
Meh.
He goes, well, the individual groups need to make that decision because they know what their requirements are. And I was like, well, no, they don't. I said, the groups that are writing the SQL for these things, and that's what we're talking about, the SQL, right? I said, when you've got, I told him flat out, these are almost my exact words. The SQL that these guys write is absolutely childish. Said, honestly, my grandmother could probably write better SQL, and she doesn't know how to turn on a computer.
And she's dead.
Yeah, and she's dead. But I said, seriously, when you've got SPs where the last line of the SP is to reset the isolation level, what the hell are you doing? Or when you've got set no count on at the beginning and the last line is to set no count back off. Really?
Yep.
Really? And these are the people that you think are able to make decisions on whether or not to use MSMQ or Service Broker or any other technology? Really? No, they're not qualified.
Or
what you need is an architect who's saying, here's what we're going to do, here's how this is going to work, we're already using this, so let's use this again, right? And actually architect a solution. There are some MCAs out there, use them, right? But architect the damn solution. Don't just leave it to these people to put in just whatever they want. That's not how you have a cohesive... Because a guy at the top would say, no, we can't use that. That's getting too many things. We're having good luck with this. We've been using this a while. It works really well. It's stable. We've learned how to code it. This is how we're going to do it. Right? That would be the way to do it. So anyway, I thought that was very timely that you would talk about that. And then I just had that meeting just today. And yeah, I pissed them off big time. I really did.
That's really surprising. What?
I wasn't trying. That's the thing. I'm not trying to piss them off, right? But I can only candy coat this shit so much.
We have got a lot to talk about this week. This isn't trying to get you off of what you're talking about.
No.
There's a lot going on. I'm going to try to make this talk brief while you sit up.
Sure.
Here.
But I'm serious. I'm not trying to piss
them
off.
No, I know you're not. It just kind of happens naturally. Here. So, I'm awake. So, we've talked about, the women in technology
Woohoo.
thing, right? Why is it a thing? Why are we talking about it? What are the
Nobody ever talks about men in IT.
There are actual. Well, you talk about women in IT. You're not automatically talking about men in IT.
Mennonites in the IT.
Mennonites in IT. And things. Talking about women in IT. One of the big things I have observed is a difference in communication. Because what I tend to do is, hey guys, we need to this. Hey, could you this? When this comes up, I don't. That doesn't get a whole lot of response from people. That doesn't get a lot of. People don't notice. People don't do anything about it, right? And that's an exaggeration. I got into my first real guy IT shouting match recently, and as far as I can tell,
You hear that?
what's that? You always have to go there. It's either gay or getting your cherry popped, or getting your gay cherry popped. Yeah, I know. But that's what I was going to say, was simply that I thought to myself, you know what, this isn't getting through. I now have to speak in the way that they will actually listen, which is, now I'm angry, and instead of expressing that democratically and being very political and all that, and going, we can't stand for this anymore, and the thing, and the thing, and the thing, and the thing, and
you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that never gets old.
So that's it was just a minor note that there are actual differences in communication, and I think I've learned to speak guy.
Well done. So when the chick walks by, you're like, hey, because I was in your office, you got a little talent in there.
Thank you for noticing.
Well, if you speak guy, then I shouldn't have to tell you.
Speak guy. I'm not actually a guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You realize I'm gonna have to check.
Do your thing.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have earballs or something? So we're gonna call our man in the field, our senior
5'9" correspondent.
our senior numerology correspondent.
I don't get it.
You don't?
No,
Why not?
I'm not very bright that way. That's you, dude.
Hello.
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 So,
How are you kids tonight?
waking up, man. Doing all right. I hear that you went to some rad kick-ass concert last night.
I did, and you know what? It was awesome, and I am so tired today because we were expecting it to last for about 2 hours.
Nope. Could have told you that wasn't the case.
This is.
I
haven't heard about this.
Will Wheaton versus Paul and Storm
Oh my.
that Nick went to last night and had a great time.
And we ran for 4 hours.
Yep. And two
we,
of that.
We were standing there for 4 hours enjoying it so much we were sad that we had to leave.
Yeah. And half of that was just the pirate song.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh god, I love that pirate song. That is so fun.
All right.
The song lasted 30 minutes, and they kept, every time the Paul would start talking, I think it was Roderick and Storm, they would just kind of stop playing funk music. And it was just awesome. It was so good. Everyone was loving it.
It's a good time. It's a good time. But so tell us, you've got some problem with numbers today or something, right?
Well, I always have a problem with numbers.
Fair enough.
Here's my big issue, right? And this is from a blog post that I published today. It's been something which has been on my mind for a little while, and I finally put it down on paper, as it were. So, there's a lot of talk on high availability. I'm a big fan of it. You guys are a big fan of it.
I love it.
You know, it's critical to our business.
Yeah.
But people are constantly trying to achieve, 5 9. 5 nines availability, that's what we want. That's what we need.
Such
Well,
a buzzword.
what's 5 nines? That means your SQL server can only be down for just over 5 minutes a year. So let's say you're running clustering and mirroring and load balancing, you've got peer-to-peer replication, and you've got SAN replication between your data centers and log shipping, and you're ready to go live to any of those at the flip of a switch, and you've got all your hardware ducks in a row, and you're ready for that emergency if it's going to happen. That's really awesome. Now let's say, because you've got all this in place, your manager's going to bonus you on the downtime.
Woohoo!
So you're the DBA, single link in the chain, and your entire bonus is going to be based on the number of nines that you can get over the year. So, you've got to take some time, sit down with your manager and ask him some questions. So, is maintenance time included? So in this 5 minutes of a year, let's say if there's bugs in the database code and the application needs to be offline where changes are made, is that going to impact my 5 nines? Or we need to patch SQL Server with the latest service pack? Just so we can maintain supportability for Microsoft.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I'm on base.
Does that count or doesn't it count? There's some places say that that does count.
Yeah.
Downtime. Well, let's say you want to test over and DR. Well, unless you actually exclude all of those things, you'll have trouble actually making 3 nines a year, which is just under 9 hours of downtime.
Right.
Let alone worry about making that 5 nines.
Which is why for me the nines only count for unplanned outages. But
Yeah.
continue.
Oh, and he's discussing it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so let's say you've discussed that and you figure that out. So how are you going to actually measure that uptime? Is uptime calculated based on SQL Server being up and running?
Yeah, I know. We had this discussion just last week.
Successful connections? Or certain queries are being returned?
Mm-hmm.
Or a website's returning a page within a certain time period?
Yep.
So you're running a query. What if that query gets blocked or deadlocked? SQL's up and running, processing other transactions, a single query is having a problem. Successful connections. Great, it means the database is available, but, that doesn't actually measure uptime. Or you've got a website returning a page, or what if there's an issue with the web server? Or networking between the web server and the database.
Exactly.
SQL's up, it's doing all its stuff, but it's still not being measured. So you discuss those kinds of things, and you go, and some decisions are made around that by the boss. So what tool are you going to use? You're going to buy something off the shelf? If so, who's going to spend time configuring it for your environment? Isn't that time better spent identifying things, doing some performance analysis and query tuning? Or you're going to make your own tool? Right, so how are you going to do that? What technologies? How's that information going to be reported upwards? Because it's all about the reports to management. Who has the last say on possible exceptions? Do you have the time to write this all yourself? Because I'm glad you do, because I sure as hell don't. Let's say you do decide on a tool, right? One off the shelf, one you're going to make yourself. So what's your tolerance in your tool? So let's say your tool is designed so that it runs a query. So it runs a query and it fails. It says the database is down. When will it next attempt to query the database? In 15 minutes? If that's the case, then any bad poll from your tool, irrespective of whether it's a good error or not, just put you outside of that 5 nines criteria because you've already surpassed that by 10 minutes. And your bonus has been dinged. But on the flip side of that, let's say there's an actual problem, and that actual problem happened 30 seconds after the last time you polled, but you resolved it before the next time you polled. Everything could have been down for 14 minutes, but your tool didn't capture that. So there's some serious flaws there. Now, as a DBA, I'm not responsible for Windows or the network, firewalls, or the data center.
Or the sand.
I'm not responsible for generating electricity that comes into the building.
Right.
I'm not responsible for the HVAC. I'm not checking the diesel levels in the backup generators. I'm not doing any of those things. But all of those upstream items can and will affect people's ability to access MySQL servers and its databases. So if I'm not responsible for any of those, how can I be held accountable for perceived uptime on MySQL server? SQL can be up and ready to process data and the database is available, but without a functioning network, nobody would know, and your monitoring's not going to pick it up. So all of these things add up to really not being able to accurately measure the mythical 5 nines uptime creature. If indeed we can't get these kinds of accurate measurements, and I can't own those upstream processes, then why the hell should I be held accountable for a number? It's a better idea. Let's look at the processes. Let's look at whether or not things are available from the user's perspective. Let's gauge customer interactions, build-outs, deployments. Let's track tickets and issues. Let's talk about the other things that we need to do to make things better. Let's not go putting a number out of the ether, because it does nobody any favors.
Hear, hear.
Absolutely. This couldn't come at a better time because just earlier this week my boss pulled me aside and asked me if I could start measuring uptime for all of the apps in our shop. And is that something that would be easy for me to slap together with PowerShell? And we had this conversation so just like you did. We went through all those points, and it's like, no, I started off with, in short, no, and then broke it. So it's amazing that this is coming up the exact same time I had this discussion at work.
Well,
I love it.
And I really like the point you made of, why don't we come at this from the other side? What is it that we actually need? I've had that discussion myself where we're like, how many 9s should we try to go for? Well, how many do we need? Let's go for as much as we possibly can, but,
Well, and seriously, if you take care of things the way you're supposed to take care of them, the 9s will take care of themselves. Am I correct?
The chat room is saying that they can't.
So,
all you're really worried about is customer impact. That's what it all comes down to. It doesn't matter. You could have 1 night availability. Your stuff could go down from 9 p.m. at night until 2 a.m. every morning. And as long as it doesn't impact your user, who gives a shit?
exactly. My last gig, we had an ETL process in the middle of the night, and we had to be up by 4 a.m. And there were quite often, it was a very poorly managed environment from other perspectives, and quite often network or SAN or something kept us from hitting our SLA, and we got dinged for it because they didn't care. If the database isn't up, then it goes against us, and that was in place long before I got there, right? But yeah, it just flat out wasn't fair. I'm like, guys, we didn't do anything. Screw you. We're not going to take this hit.
Educate your
were ready.
peoples.
Our ETL process was running like gangbusters. Your network failed. The hell do you want from me?
You're hitting the West note.
Yeah, I know. Well, my voice is so gone. We had a long talk before the show, and my voice is just gone.
Oh.
But anyway, good talk, Nick.
Thanks.
All right, we'll holler at you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
But yeah, I really liked that particular talk, and you can see that blog, companion blog, out on SirSQL.net. All right, so we've got one of two major things to talk about now. Which one you want?
I think that was a pretty good warm-up for my rant.
Rant.
Anybody want to hear a rant?
Rant. You can hear them all chanting in your mind.
By the way, who's Synthsware? Do we know who that is?
I don't know, but they've been
Psalmsware. Nobody wants a rant? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Well, you gotta give them a minute. There's a delay. And they're trying to translate from... I don't know.
Anyway.
Hell yeah! Rant! Go for it! Rant! Give us a rant or we'll die!
Alright. So anyway, who's DBA? DBA, who are you? Sonsware, who are you?
This is going to be really boring for our recorded viewers.
Well, then they should come to the live show.
You should come to the live show. So,
Oh, are we up there?
So what's up?
No, now you're here.
Oh.
Okay.
Where do you want to be?
I'm going to need to be over here.
Meet him at camera 2.
Yeah, meet me at camera 2. So, here's how it goes. Wednesday, let's just say we had a big SQL problem that caused us some unscheduled downtime. Let's just
We
put it
had
that
a
way.
SQL problem that caused us some unscheduled downtime.
Excellent. Even though I messed it up.
That's okay.
So, the mantra in my company is always get it up as fast as you can.
What's a mantra?
Nothing. Well, what's a mantra with you?
I'll shut up now. Go ahead and tell your story.
So, we have to get things up as fast as possible, and that usually leaves us very little time for troubleshooting, right? So we ended up bouncing, and everything came back all right. And then right afterwards, it's always, now I need to know exactly what happened. Well, that's too bad you didn't give me a chance, right? I have no 5 9s for Sean. But you didn't give me a chance. I don't have that kind of data ready, right? Well, that's too bad. We need to know what happened so that we know how to prevent it. Well, that's fine, but we don't have anything at all. There's nothing in the SQL log. There's nothing in the NT log. We don't have a crash dump of any kind. We don't have counters going on. We don't have a trace of any kind. We don't have anything because you had to have it up right now, right? Well, that's unacceptable. You need to tell me what happened. Well, I don't have the data to tell you what happened. Now, here's the kicker. Well, then open up a case with Microsoft. And tell them what?
Microsoft is a magical place.
Yeah. Oh, sure, a magical animal. I've got no...
Hello, Microsoft. My butt hurts.
Yeah, I know, right? I've got no data to give them. Okay? I've got no traces. I've got nothing in the log. I've got nothing in the event logs. I've got no stack dump. I've got no perf counters.
I ain't got nobody.
I got nothing. If I call them and say, I need to open up a case, they're going to say, okay, send me this stuff, right?
And we'll say, we don't have it.
And I'll say, I don't have it. No. That's not the rant part.
Really? Tell us, Sean.
Yeah.
What is the rant
I'm
part?
fighting a sneeze right now.
Well, I'll just read this for a sec. Get it up as fast as you can is the name of my George Michael cover band. Thanks for that one, Nick. Dear Microsoft, something happened and then it got better. Hey, Microsoft, we had a problem. What was it? This is a challenge. If you can't figure it out, I'm going to Oracle.
Okay. Oh, that was it. Now, here's the kicker. I said, there's no point in sending them and opening a case with Microsoft. They said, do it anyway. And I said, we can't tell them anything. There's nothing to give them. There's nothing they can do for us. There's no point. It's just a waste of time. I understand that. Do it anyway. Guys, there's no point. We can't open a case. I mean, we can, but we would be laughed out of there. There's nothing to give them. We have nothing.
How bad is that to get laughed at by Microsoft?
I know, right? And if I do this, I'm taking MVP out of my signature because I don't want them knowing. And I'm going to sign your name.
Dear Microsoft, please bring me a pony. Midnight Freddy.
And so this is the kicker. I said no for the last time and said no. We're not going to open a case with Microsoft. There's no reason to. And they went behind my back and had one of my juniors do it.
Oh, no, they didn't.
Where's my boo?
Boo.
Boo.
I was looking at music. Yeah.
So we had a case with Microsoft. We had a case with Microsoft about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was in charge of that one. And they copied everybody in IT on it for like 3 days with 300 emails. You know how it is when you work a case. Just emails going back and forth all the time, right? And they copied everybody in IT. I didn't find out till this morning that my junior had opened up a case and that he was, quote, working it with them, right?
They were siloing.
And I wasn't copied on any of those emails.
Oh my god.
Now, this is from a
And what
place...
would you expect to be copied in on emails about a DBA issue?
Boo. That is
I know.
extremely disrespectful. Oh, hell to the no. You were doing this, weren't you?
And I'm telling you right now, and I'm saying this only because it's my show, if I had another serious job offer, I would have put my badge on the fucking table and walked out right then.
Damn.
I was so pissed off. And I'm still pissed off. So, I mean, I'm serious. I would have tossed my badge on the table and just left. Because it pissed me off that bad. That they would just go behind my back and just do that. Because, like I said, they copied everybody in IT on the last case. And I didn't even know about this until the other guy said something under about something else that I think honestly, I'm beginning to think now that he slipped. And that he wasn't supposed to say anything, because why else would they keep me out of those emails?
Now, somebody at some point, at several points, went around and said, now don't tell Sean. Those were the exact words used, and you know it.
It's starting to seem that way. Because I actually had to tell them in the last case to stop copying everybody in IT, because nobody cares about all this stuff. It's you and me, dude. Nobody else cares. So anyway, so pissed off. I don't like being stepped around like that.
Well, no, because, okay, let's frame this for a moment. You're the lead DBA. These are supposed to be your databases in the sense that when they go down, it's your ass on the line. Right? You're the person that they call out of bed in the middle of the night. You're the person that gets to get on 4-hour conference calls through dinner.
Oh, I wish it were 4 hours.
40-hour conference calls through dinner. You're the guy that gets to sit in all-day meetings with vendors. It's your ass on the line. Your job is to actually keep these databases up and running. And
I'm the one that's got the most experience dealing with Microsoft, and I know what they're looking for. I know what they need to solve the case. Not to mention, I had already discussed this case with one of the biggest SQL performance gurus in the country. I'll let the guys in chat guess who it is, and I'll tell you if you're right or you're wrong, but I don't want to use his name on a film.
Yeah.
But I had discussed it with the biggest SQL performance guy in the country at Microsoft, and he said, we don't have enough to even begin to look at this. And I told him that.
I actually...
And you got to play-by-play.
Worked for Microsoft on the SQL support line, and yes, he's absolutely right. The first thing that they ask for is this piece of material, and this piece of material, and this piece of evidence, and this piece of data, and this piece of data. And there's not a lot you can do when you come to Microsoft and you say, it was running bad, but now it's better.
Well, and the thing is this morning he told me that he was running.
You should have pulled that. You should have pulled the wife card. My wife worked for Microsoft.
Right? But well, and one of my juniors worked for Microsoft support.
Yeah, I know.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, he actually told me. I said, well, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm pulling counter data, and I'm pulling this, and I'm pulling that. I said, there was no counter data during the thing. He goes, no, we're monitoring the box, and we're pulling counter stuff. I said, the issue was 2 days ago. What the hell are you pulling counter data for? It doesn't even make sense.
Now you're getting into database
and one of the guys actually said to me, well, wouldn't it have worked if we failed over and then like froze the box as it was with all of the CPUs pegged and then failed it back over so that we could have worked, and then when we got Microsoft on the phone we could fail it back over and then let them see it? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Tell me that wasn't a DBA that said that.
Stasis field? Are we in Star Trek zone now?
But this doesn't what?
Wait,
that doesn't even make sense. What the hell did you just say to me?
Now you're beyond West Note. You could have recreated the whole thing in the holodeck and then beamed Microsoft aboard.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, I know, right? Meanwhile, Wesley's over there humping the console.
Listen, Mary Sue. Okay, so...
Anyway, that's my rant tonight. I just don't understand what I just don't understand. Just do it anyway? Yeah, because we don't waste enough time.
Something.
I've got so much copious time at work. Go ahead.
This is... it's not even a rant.
No.
This is a call to arms. And this is dead serious. Are we back on camera one?
Would you like to be?
I say dead serious and you kiss your guns.
Is this queer? Is this queer?
A little bit. So, I put forth a new Unsequel Friday to try to get people involved, and I got nothing back.
Ooh.
Okay, this will be an unusually political Unsequel Friday, and it's 2 days early to boot, but I'm making an exception to my no politics in SQL rule because it's about internet freedoms.
Woohoo!
This is out on my blog, midnightdba.com/Jen. This week's Unsequel Friday roundup is about SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act. Please take a couple of minutes and read up. If this is meaningful to you, then blog and do what you can to spread the word. Get involved however you feel you can make the best difference. So, a little bit to catch you up if you haven't been paying attention. And I gotta say, thank God for Boing Boing. Because otherwise I probably wouldn't have heard of this, because it's not hitting, just like the Occupy movement, it's not really yet hitting the major news feeds. There's a PC World article that I linked to. Boing Boing. The worst bill in internet history is about to become law. This law would give government and corporations the power to block sites like Boing Boing, among others, over infringing links on at least one web page posted by their users. Government gets unbelievable power to take down sites, threaten payment processors into stopping payment to sites on the blacklist, and throw people in jail for posting ordinary content. Internet and democracy groups are planning an internet-wide day of protest, that was Wednesday, called American Censorship Day, for the day Congress holds a hearing on these bills. Now, from what I've heard, this is already in the legislative process, and they're hoping to vote on it before Christmas. This is the time to rise up and actually contact your congressperson and whoever else you can and tell them that it's a horrible, bad thing. Now, again, do a little of your own reading on this. I'll give you a little bit more, and then I've got a follow-up. Here's from ZDNet. SOPA wants to give, well, pretty much anyone with a law degree the right to shut down websites and domains. SOPA has some nasty teeth. First, according to the EFF, it allows individual companies to force payment processors, think PayPal or Visa, to stop paying any site that might be considered to be engaging in, enabling, or facilitating any form of copyright infringement. Let's take a look at how that might impact you. What cloud-based services do you use? Gmail? Dropbox? Amazon's music sharing service? What about eBay? Facebook? Or perhaps you simply host your corporate email at an exchange hosting provider like I do. Let's use that last one as an example. My hosting provider, like most, offers a free SharePoint account along with their email hosting. Let's say one of their other customers uploads something that they shouldn't. This new legislation would allow any other private company, including my hosting provider's competitors, to demand that payment agencies cut off payments, effectively strangling cash flow and shutting the company down.
Yeah. Stress on their competitors who have a direct conflict of interest.
Now that you're caught up just a little bit, and with any luck, you're already feeling a little bit scared. Here, we'll take a break here. You know how that would impact you, says Nick? SQL Workshops would shut down every fucking blog that mentions SQL Server. It's a joke, but it's not a joke.
No, they would do that, the douchebags. By the way, don't go to SQL Workshops for anything.
Ever.
They're douches.
In our opinion.
Yes.
So here's the second blog and I'm going to actually read a good deal of this to you. Are you cool with this?
It's your show, baby.
All right. This has already happened in Denmark. I put out the call to stop SOPA, and one Twitter friend wrote back, "Good luck, we have it in Denmark. First, blocking child porn, then pharmaceuticals, and now Groove Shark." I asked if he wouldn't mind writing up a little bit more on that, so he complied. Thank you, by the way, internet friend from Denmark, for the real-life cautionary tale. I didn't put his name on here because he didn't want his name Googled with 16 different instances of child porn, which by the way, I did a little bit of the leet speak on it. Anyway, so quick rambling on the status of DNS blocking in Denmark. The official name is Child Pornography Filter. Some years ago, there was a heated debate as politicians wanted to introduce a child pornography filter on the web to filter out said content. It would be implemented by passing a law requiring all Danish ISPs to redirect certain IP addresses to so-called filter pages, basically a white page with a big red stop sign explaining the purpose of the filter. There was an outcry by techies, both on the philosophical level and on the technical level. How hard is it to change your DNS setting to 8.8.8.8? Politicians like to enact laws, though, so said was done. It didn't last long till the discussion reheated as a Danish site hosting did you say manga? Is it manga? Anyway, manga porn had been blocked.
Yeah, it's mega.
Okay. Another one hosted cartoon pornography using the Simpsons characters, which technically are underage. So what is porn exactly?
Well, all of them aren't, but okay.
Does cartoon porn go under the law? Apparently it does. Not to
Nick
mention...
has a child porn filter. It's called Not Being a Sick Bastard.
No shit. Not to mention the problems when given a shared hosting provider is DNS blocked, even though just a single site violates the filter. No warning is given up front. If for any reason child porn was to appear on my blog through XSS, hacking, whatever, all my visitors would be facing a big stop. This site is hosting child porn. As you can imagine, undoing the ban is no simple procedure, and damage will have been done that way before that. Now, I would like to say again that this is how it is in Denmark right now. This is not a what if. This is what it is, and this is a mirror of our law that they're looking to enact. A couple months ago, they expanded the filter to include pharmaceutical sellers on the web. Sure, most, if not all of them, sell bogus drugs that may or may not be harmful to you, but really, how is this related to child porn? The filter was only written to law on the basis of blocking child porn, certainly not pharmaceutical drugs. Fast forward to today, they now want to block Grooveshark as it's an illegal, in Denmark, MP3 hosting service. And given that Spotify just started paying licenses in Denmark and are thus legal, they think we have enough legal options for a ban to make sense.
Whereas otherwise, it's okay to it's okay to pirate it if you don't have a...
If you don't have another option. Grooveshark, child porn, you see the resemblance, right? If you go to the biggest ISPs...
I'm waiting for somebody to get Google blocked.
If you go to the biggest ISP's website description of the child porn filter and he gives a link, you see plenty of references to the name child porn filter, but none whatsoever of pharma, drugs, MP3, or the like. So, and he closes up. But, can't say it enough, they're looking to enact this law here. People lobbying for this are music companies and movie companies in Hollywood. People lobbying against this are human rights activists internationally. There was a really excellent, and I've linked to it, a really excellent letter written by a large group of international rights, human rights community, outlining why it's bad and why it makes us a giant fucking hypocrite for calling down China for having such tight restrictions on what people can view on the internet there. And they want to do it here.
Well, theirs is at least controlled by the government. Ours can be controlled by a company's competitor to gain a market advantage, which is absolutely ludicrous.
And the government. So, yeah, this is bad. This is really bad, and I don't understand why people aren't in a fucking panic over it. Why more people aren't. So I wanted to dedicate a good segment of the show and go overtime and get a couple of comments. Let's see.
Yes, we
Sick
have no
bastard. Yeah, I know. U.S. government says pizza is a veggie. EU says vendors can't claim that water prevents dehydration. Go figure. EU sets strict restrictions on the amount of curve in bananas. Let's see. Yeah, the difference between Denmark's law and SOPA is that SOPA allows anyone to sue for possible infringement.
And that's not infringement, that's possible infringement. And the way I'm beginning to understand it is that the offending party doesn't even have to be invited.
No.
They can just go to a judge somewhere and because you know how internet savvy most judges are. They just go to some 70-year-old bastard who's been on the bench forever. And you know his secretary goes to the inner tubes for him. But they can go to some old bastard and they're like, yeah, that sounds right to me. Doesn't even know what DNS is and stamps it, and the next thing you know, Yahoo's off the air because Google complained.
But I've been reveling in technology. Technology has given me so many things that I have always wanted. I have always wanted MP3 players. I've always wanted cell phones before cell phones were a really viable thing that you could stick in your pocket and, you know, play movies on. I've always wanted this. This is something that I have always wanted. And it is made me furiously happy that things like Facebook and Twitter are being used to connect people and form revolutions in countries where it's getting harder to keep people down if they've got any kind of technology whatsoever. And this is a giant fucking kick in the balls to that entire thing. So no, you people, you're my people, go do something about it, and do it now.
Yeah.
Blog, write your congressman. I don't
The
think they get
that
as
we've
many.
linked to, the she links to in her blog, have all you gotta do is fill out your
Your name
zip
and your
code,
yeah.
and it gives you a letter and the email addresses of your congresspeople, of your representatives, and all you have to do is hit go, and it'll send an email. You saw I got a reply from one of them.
Yep. So, for me, do this as a favor for me, if you're not actually scared, and get scared. That's what I had to say about it.
Yeah, but the appropriate thing to do is to take the content off the site. Is to contact the site, you've got 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever to take this content off your site.
Well, and to have it very narrowly defined, say, this law can do this, and only these people can complain about it. And Sequel Haas says, on the one hand, I agree with the basic premise of what SOPA is trying to achieve. I don't like its execution. I agree. I'm anti-piracy myself. We all get on a big bandwagon when somebody's been plagiarized, and we go and piss all over their site and kick them. And on the other hand, when somebody falsely claims IP theft, then we kick all over that too. And this is one of those things where it's going to be abused. Oh, we're catching up. Someone who generates IP music. Protecting IP is important. I absolutely agree. So, there you go.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I've got.
That's what I've got.
And it's been a great show.
Yeah, I'm spent.
I bet you are. I'm awake now. I got too much caffeine.
How about it, guys? Was it a decent rant?
Do you still like
Because
us?
they usually like say something about their rant and we jump straight into this one, so I have no idea if it lived up to any expectation or not.
Well, you can get your dick sucked in post show. Let's say goodnight. Well, figuratively speaking.
I was
gonna say,
I didn't think Nick was here.
No, I bought you a fluffer for Christmas.
Oh God, you're such a good mom.
Bill.
Oh my God, you're the best mom ever.
And on that note, let's see. I'm actually speaking for the Oklahoma City user group December 12th via
or if you're
the intertubes,
or if
unless
you're Tiny Man 12th.
Unless the internets have been shut down by then.
Yeah.
And that's about it till the end of the year.
Okay.
So yeah, take us away, everybody,
Party on Wayne.
and party on Garth.
I mean, party on Wayne.
Party on Garth.
Play us out, Fredward.
All right.